threat. And one of the things that can't be attacked is your self-custody Bitcoin. And one of the things that can be attacked is the ETF. You can't be exposed to that. That's my view. It's not a good idea. And by the way, that'll hit MSTR too. It'll probably hit other stuff as well. Friends and enemies, welcome back. Canadian Bitcoiners podcast.
Friends and enemies, welcome to the CBP. Wanna be better informed? Listen to Len and Joey. Sponsors taken care of right off the top. Bull, Bitcoin, and easy DNS. The media is feeding the slop. It doesn't matter what topics discussed. Quality entertainment and information you can trust.
That's being planned or at least discussed. You know, we're not going to allow
quality entertainment and information you can trust. Send the guy some value, boost them with some sats. Bitcoin is a scarcity asset. I mean, it's just a fact. Geopolitical, national, down to the local cloud.
Friends and enemies, are we going to get rate cuts? Are we going to an all-time high? It's good to be back. My name is Joey. That's Len. And Len, we got a lot to talk about. We got some weak U.S. data last week. We got some new projections on rate cuts in the States. It's a good time to be a Bitcoiner. And the price is reacting too. What is the price? I think it went up a couple thousand.
I just looked because you were saying it's going to pump, and I took a look. It's 112. Now look, 112. I asked this 6 months ago. Yeah, pretty decent price. I asked this a year ago. Great price. So it's all relative. But yeah, man, we're still like 10% away from an all-time high while gold is ripping.
Yeah.
S&P, what's that doing? I haven't followed that.
I haven't looked recently, but I suspect it's within a stone's throw of an all-time high, if I had to guess. I mean, all these charts, you look at them, it's all just up and to the right, and the up and to the rights are getting more, they're getting more volatile. Yeah, they're getting more volatile. I think there's a lot of people who realize that it's a fool's errand to be holding cash in this environment. And so you're watching people now take on debt in real time and park it in markets, in Pokemon cards, in Bitcoin, in anything except the Canadian dollar and the US dollar too, for that matter. So yeah, interesting times here.
I prefer the good old Singaporean. Yes.
Shout to you. Shout to you. Yes. Yeah, big day. Let's do the sponsors first, as always. EasyDNS, best place for you to host your content, host your website, your business, all that good stuff. Mark is your friendly neighborhood registrar. Tons of stuff available for you at EasyDNS, including easy mail and domain share for a couple of extra bucks. Make sure all your data is protected, all your client data is protected, your mailing list data is protected, your product data, you name it, okay? But you need someone to do all that stuff for you because, as you know, listener, viewer, there's tons of people gunning for that info now in a way that just wasn't the case a few years ago. And Mark's got you covered there. Tons of virtual private server options. You want to do a Bitcoin node, Nostr Relay, BTC Pay server. It's all available for you there at EasyDNS. And the best part, Len, you can pay in Bitcoin if you want. Mark's been taking Bitcoin a long time. Way before Nakamoto, Kindly MD, special acquisition vehicle for Bitcoin. Mark was taking it for his services over at EasyDNS. So go there, load up a cart, start your business, start your website, and get 50% off the first round of buys, which you cannot beat. CBP Media, use the code.
Bull Bitcoin is a great place to buy, great place to sell. Do whatever you want to do with your Bitcoin. They have it all available to you under one roof. On-chain, Lightning, on-chain fees. I haven't checked in a little while. I think it's still relatively cheap, so still do your buys and sells on-chain. But still, the Lightning option exists over there. They're non-custodial. This is what you want in exchange. You don't want somebody to hold on to your keys. You cannot make a buy without providing a Bitcoin address. It may not have to be a proper Bitcoin address, but at the very least, you have to provide something to them to facilitate the buy. This is what you want in them. They're available in a bunch of different countries. Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, Western Europe, a bunch of countries there. And recently now, Argentina.
Saw that. Yep.
So if you're there, Argentina pesos, you could convert that to Bitcoin. Check them out. You could also send e-transfers in using your Bitcoin to do that. So if I have to send you money, Joy, I could do an e-transfer, but use Bitcoin in order to have it sent over to you, and you get cold hard cash. What you don't want, it seems like, in your account. And also you could pay your bills with Bitcoin. Check them out. Use our promo code below or link below. If you do that, then all buys moving forward forever will be slightly cheaper. Check them out, bullbitcoin.com.
Don't forget to sponsoring the show until the conference, the Canadian Bitcoin Conference. You should be getting a ticket to this thing. I think they have discounted tickets for a little while longer. And if not, you should just message them and see if they'll give you a discount because you heard about it here. I'll be the MC again this year. Len is not going to attend again this year. And you can meet me and the Bull guys and every person you listen to, watch on YouTube and your podcast platforms, and get a couple of beers. And I promise that maybe not the first night, but the second night, I'll I'll send a few tall boys back with whoever's out there. I'm looking forward to doing that again. It's the best conference, Len. Talked to somebody today who messaged me about another podcast appearance. I won't mention who, and a Twitter Spaces appearance in the traditional finance space, trying to build interest for Bitcoin and Bitcoin as a, I don't know, what do you call it? It's a turmoil asset. I think that's a good name for it. I'm coining that tonight, and I think that you guys will enjoy that. Anyway, so you should be looking at going to the conference if you haven't already, October 16th, 17th in Montreal, or 17th, 18th. I forget, the week after Thanksgiving here in Canada, though. So be there or be square. I am not reading that comment in the chat. Let's do some boosts.
What if somebody put that comment in a boost? Do I have to read it?
You have to, I guess. Yeah. I mean, whatever. We'll read anything for the if you send a boost with a comment that's off color, it has to be at least $5 the boost. It can't be.
I have filtered a few of them in the past. Just
yeah. Okay.
So we have Wartime sends a couple of them, 133 sats each. Number one, he says, back and bring the heat, with a couple of dynamite charging or being exploded there. So yeah, like that. Second one, he says, for 133 sats, is a couple of beer mugs clanging together.
Cheers.
And maybe you can go have some beer with Joey in a Canadian Bitcoin conference in Montreal.
Totally.
Yeah, October 19th and 20th, I think it is.
It's not. It's the weekend after Thanksgiving. It's like the 16th and 17th, I think. I'll tell you right now. Keep reading the things.
Last we have Jer, 5,000 sats. This is an interesting
16th, 18th. Sorry, go ahead.
He says, our local not-for-profit youth soccer club is a LMIA qualifier. We've read the stories about the bad ones getting through. Immigration and citizenship can't seem to prevent it. How, in the name of Hamilton Man, is the OPP supposed to perform a comprehensive vulnerable sector check on a brand new entrant to Canada?
Great point. You shouldn't be sending your kids anywhere where there's LMIA people working. Period. End of story. If you see
basically keep them at home.
Yeah, well, I will tell you
Where
that
is there not?
Well, my wife and I found a daycare near us that is private and licensed and is just one woman and 5 kids. Comes highly recommended. We were lucky. Met with her today. I'll tell you more about that after the show because you'll get a kick out of the story. But I am thinking about this more and more. The idea that you would send your child anywhere that brings with it risk of a new, fake new Canadian, fake asylum seeker, fake child, fake whatever, coming over here with no criminal record or an ignored criminal record or an ignored record of any kind. And, for you left-leaning people out there, don't forget, every time you see a story about a new disease outbreak in Canada or a new, measles is making a return, we didn't check any of these people for vaccine coverage. It's gotten so bad in Ontario that our chief health officer, the guy who looks like Lenin, is talking about a digital vaccine registry because the coverage is so bad. Just don't do it. Keep your kids in your community, places you trust, people you trust, and keep them away from these fake refugees. Harsh language to start the show. I like it. I like coming out hot like that.
Yeah. The problem is, though, these type of individuals, they're basically scattered throughout the society.
Yeah.
And it's unless you live a very sheltered life, or you live in some very sheltered gated community with all the services.
Everything is doable, man. Everything is doable. You gotta take the time and invest in being safe and invest in doing the right things for you and your kids.
One thing one can do, though, if they don't like certain things, they could vote with their wallet, right? If they see a certain business doing practices you don't seem to be happy with, just don't give them your money. And if enough people do that, maybe it will stick. But a lot of this is due to just greedy organizations, greedy corporations, or
100%.
Anyway,
I have loved
greedy franchises.
Yeah, greedy franchises. I've loved, Len, that you and me were coming down on this stuff like 2 years ago. Now, probably something like that, about immigration, the cultural issues, and now even the Hub, which is a free website. You can read some of their stuff for free, anyways. Sean Spear, who writes for the Hub, who is a professor at a Canadian university, I believe the University of Ottawa, writing about how the cultures coming over in immigration are incompatible with Canadian culture. That was unthinkable 2 years ago, even more so for a university professor. And now it's the public opinion. Everyone is sick of it. I'll just say one more thing I've said before, but just for people who are only listening to the first 5 minutes, you can pretend that all cultures are equal when the other cultures, the inferior cultures, make up 1% of the population in your area. But when they get to 5 and 6 and 7%, the disconnect and the inferiority of those cultures becomes obvious, and it becomes intolerable to have them around. And everyone should be feeling the pinch by now, especially if you live in a major city. And I think people are sick of it. So I'm happy to see that. Let's get our heads on straight here and start doing what's best for the country long term.
Let's anything else before we transition to Bitcoin?
Housekeeping. The Bugle guys,
sorry.
Rod and Dick, will be on Wednesday night. You're welcome to come to that, Len, if you like.
I thought you were saying Rod and Todd from this.
Rod and Todd from The Simpsons are on there. No, the two Bugle guys will be here Wednesday night, which I'm looking forward to. I think both of us been on that show, or just me?
I haven't, no.
Okay, so I've done it. It's a good time, and I'm looking forward to talking to them. I'm sure that'll be a fun show. And then after that, we have no interviews planned. I'm actually telling Len right now that I'm taking a few weeks off from interviews after that show. So go nuts. And if you're interested in the Bugle or don't know about the Bugle, you probably do if you listen to this show. But if you don't, I highly recommend you go listen to a few of their episodes. They're very witty over there. I have to say that Bitcoin is not always the easiest thing to make fun of, but they do a great job. Between all the Lynn Alden is hot talk, make sure your wife is not running a node, stuff like that. They're so funny. I highly recommend you guys give them a listen.
Yeah. I was going to say something about Lynn, but
better not. Where do you want to start? Bitcoin stories, I guess. The usual. Here we go.
I'm just still debating. Should I not? I mean, what can I say? What can I say? I mean, wonderful stuff. This is 2025. Yeah, let's go to Bitcoin news. You want to talk about this Stacker news story?
Interesting. Yeah. What a find by you. I can't believe people are still getting scammed out of their Bitcoin, but we may as well talk about it.
This guy has a lot still. So he lost 1.4 Bitcoin. He's a poster on stacker.news. You should check it out for people that want to keep up to date with what's going on with Bitcoin. His name is Lightning Struck. That's his username. And his story, it's quite a lengthy story about how he was scammed by some individuals to the tune of 1.4 Bitcoin. A lot of people say, well, shit, that's a fucking lot. And it hurts him, I would imagine. But given his story, he has a lot more. Either way, the guy was running an online marketplace, and it's called Agora. Agora. Okay, so this Agora place, it specifically targets people on Stacker News. And if people don't want to sell and buy or sell goods and or services, they can do it like that. So any merchant in his position, they would be running a Lightning node because you're going to be doing a lot of small transactions. You want to have these things done quickly. Lightning is a thing. So anyways, he had a node, still had it, at least at the time he wrote this, and it was fairly profitable from the time he posted it. He mastered the art of maximizing returns through routing. It's not an easy thing to do, but he did that. Anyway, he was trying to sell liquidity with something called Ambrose Magma. And I suppose they wanted him to open a channel with Ambrose Magma, and he agreed to do this for a price. And this is, I guess, some of the reason why he's quite successful with running a node, at least used to be. Anyways, payment was done in July. No problem. There was no issues with that. Then they tried to do the same thing in August, but ran into a snag. The payment was it stopped because it looks like a Cloudflare middleware stuff, or Cloudflare middleware got in the way and stopped it from going through. So he went to Ambrose Magma, their Telegram channel, right? And right away, that's a problem, right? let's not even go. And he mentioned his issue on a Telegram channel, and somebody by the name of Jesse got in touch with him. And you know where this is going to go, right? They exchanged some info, and I'm going to read what he wrote here. It says, it seems that they didn't know enough about LND, but then they would ask for Lightning/LND specific information. And I thought that maybe I was just dealing with somebody that had more intimate knowledge than it was above my head. And he also says he was reached out by somebody named AP and Banoff, and they were both the admins of the Ambrose Telegram channel. And they both confirmed that he should continue to work with Jesse. And he would find out later that these accounts were imposters. In particular, Banoff was acting like a human and was just simply a Telegram bot. But either way, what was asked from him by Jesse and crew, they asked him to connect his wallet to their system, which he did, huge red flag. And he went on a website to provide the information, his LNDC words. Who the heck's doing this these days? But he did it. And his entire on-chain wallet was wiped out. Luckily, he still had more Bitcoin. So 1.4 was a lot, but he still had a lot more. So in the end, this guy got scammed out there. Now, I see this story. A lot of people are getting scammed. When anybody comes to you asking for your seeds for anything, be it your LND wallet, your on-chain wallet, whatever the fuck it is, do not give it up. When you're trying to go to Telegram, be very careful who you're dealing with. Just try to it's easy for me to say, but man, oh man, there's lots of resources out there you could find on your own. You could go look on YouTube, you could go on Twitter, you could go on the web and fucking find shit. Try to avoid dealing with scammers at all fucking costs. This is an issue with Lightning. Lightning does work. It does have its issues. I won't get into this, but in terms of what happened here, man, how does somebody have this much fucking Bitcoin? Been in it so fucking long, it seems, have intimate knowledge with it, and still get fucking scammed like this. I can't fucking believe it.
Do you know what the worst part is? That every time we talk about a story like this, what is the fulcrum all the time? Like, you could make
Be careful.
It's not even that. You could make it through, weeks of getting scammed, like getting your wheels greased, your gears greased by bots and Telegram groups and DMs and whatever. But then, it's always amazing to me that these guys who have been in Bitcoin for so long go through all this and then also give up the seed words. In almost every case, they're giving up the seed words. How does that not set off an alarm bell in your head? People on audio can't see. Len is just shaking his head. That is the most infuriating thing to me. Yeah, I don't know.
If you look at the chat on the side, for example, I don't want to say just in case, somebody was asking on a Telegram channel about Sparrow, and this guy almost fell for a scam where somebody was approaching him for some information. So, like, what I'm trying to get at, be careful. Everybody wants your fucking seeds. Everybody wants your fucking. Do not give that fucking thing up. Even if you think you're dealing with me, you're not dealing with me, because I'm never gonna ask for this fucking bullshit. If you want to deal with somebody, do a video chat. Like, for example, if you wanted help from me and I'm going to give it to you, we'll do a video chat and you can confirm
I wouldn't even trust that. I wouldn't even trust that now.
You think that would be AI'd?
Yeah, I think it's already becoming a problem. You see these, I just saw a tweet.
Don't trust me then.
Yeah, I would never do it. Like, you should just never be ever saying, entering, writing down your seeds, except for the moment at which they are generated offline. Like, that's the only time. And after that, you should never be looking at them. You should actually take them away from wherever you are domiciled, because you don't want to have that stuff in the same, vicinity as you. It's for two reasons, really. One is your own personal security. And two is you can get carried away. If you have like a price crash or a price rip, you might be like, oh shit, I want to sell a bunch of this stuff and buy whatever. Like, just keep the stuff away from you. That's the answer here. Okay. You got to keep the chief portion of your stack like unavailable. It's got to take time to get to it, because then it gives you time to think about, have I really been talking to people on Telegram for weeks here about like this LND stuff? Have I really been, being romanced by a waifu Asian anime girl on Twitter? Have I really been offered this job and it pays $100,000? I only have to work 2 hours a week. Like these things, the reason they work is because the people executing these strategies ramp up your emotion. And then right when your emotion's at a peak or near a peak, that's when they get the information from you that they need. And that you can't let that happen. There has to be like a gap that's insurmountable, that's unskippable, right? In your process. That's the thing that's going to save you from a home invasion. It's going to save you from a scam. It's going to save you from like your wife getting mad and stealing your Bitcoin. Like, it's going to save you. And we all agree in Bitcoin, this is a 4-year minimum investment. So you don't need any of that shit at your fingertips. It's obvious you don't need that stuff. And I hope people listen to this story and they think it is true that the guy's stupid. We'll laugh about it, have our giggles, whatever, but consider that there may come a time when something happens in your life adjacent to Bitcoin that puts you in a position where this stuff starts to look more and more appealing and you could make a mistake. You're going to need that time retrieving a wallet, retrieving a hardware wallet, retrieving seeds, whatever, before you realize you make a mistake. You need that time. And if you don't give it to yourself when you're sober, then when you're experiencing, when you're having a moment, you may find that it's too late and you make a mistake.
Yeah, and you got to have somehow you have to still get access to it in times of duress, right? Because you don't know when what will happen, and you have to just get access to it. So somehow it's got to be
the chief portion, the chief portion of your stack, my opinion has been, I've said this on the show for years, that it should not be available to you on a whim.
Yeah. So it's a balance. You got to find a balance between all this. So there is a story that is being talked about today. It was being just reported. I don't have confirmation of this, but it's making the rounds, and they're saying that there is a vulnerability with the JavaScript ecosystem. And what this is essentially saying is that anybody with a hot wallet, especially with a hot wallet that is on a computer, I'm going to say PC, but I could be wrong. But either way, hot wallets, you should be very, very concerned, especially if you have a sizable amount of Bitcoin on it. Is what's going to potentially happen is if there is a vulnerability within JavaScript and they could drain it, well, good luck, it's gone. So it's also mentioned that if you are going to use, which you should, a signing device like a cold card or seed sign or whatever you think is best for you, make sure you verify the partially signed Bitcoin transaction on the screen.
You need the screen. Need the screen. Yeah.
You got to verify. So you got to look at that and say, yeah, that is the address it's going to be sent to. This is it. Furthermore, I would like to even add then, if you can, I'm a big fan of this, using a separate computer that just has Sparrow on it. It's never online. You only boot it up when you have to use Sparrow, do the updates, then use Sparrow. Like, try to minimize how you could lose your Bitcoin. This thing out there, it's impacting mostly, it looks like these hot wallets.
Not Cove. Should mention Not Cove. Praveen sent out a tweet earlier. He doesn't use this. He doesn't use Java, so he's away from this.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, you're right. I totally agree with you, dude. One of the things we've mentioned on the show, I don't know, a handful of times now. Look how skinny my arms are. Oh my God, I haven't worked out in 2 weeks. I'm getting my stitches out tomorrow from my knee, FYI.
How many did you get?
What?
How many stitches did you get?
I'm guessing a handful, but you
didn't
can't
see, or you didn't?
No, they're taped over. I can't see them. So anyway, what was I gonna say? Right, the wallets. Like it feels to me, Len, like as we're advancing through epochs of Bitcoin, not just having epochs, but sort of cultural epochs as well. The more I look at these stories about people getting scammed, it's actually OG Bitcoiners who are the ones getting rugged more than new people. I think it's a 2-factor issue. One is that the new people don't have that much Bitcoin, but two is that, and also those people use stuff like ShakePay, Coinbase, whatever for storage, which so far has been proven to be basically a fortress, though it comes with a cost. But the second thing I think is that these guys really were lulled to sleep over the last 10 years about security, about their computer setups. Because 10 years ago, let's face it, was anybody thinking that you'd need a separate computer for Sparrow?
I don't think at that time people were thinking it would be worth $100,000 plus.
Never. And
like,
you
imagine you bought in like $5, and you're like, and along the way it went up to 10, 12, 15. Wow, I tripled my money.
You skipped everything all the way to 100K. Yeah.
Like, wow,
but those people have been lulled to sleep on the security side. I think it's a different environment, both from a tech standpoint and from a honeypot standpoint. The eyes on this stuff, huge. Yeah, exactly. Luke's a great example. Yeah,
and I'm going to stand by this. In a different universe, Luke would be absolutely vilified, I believe, by certain people, because you just look at the appearance, the actions. There's a lot of things you're like. You judge a book by its cover for a lot of time, right? And it's like, wow, this guy is just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just funny that this is he's on the side of trying to save Bitcoin in a way, and it just seems like something. He lost his Bitcoin.
Yeah.
There's questions if he eats cats. I don't know if that's true, but like, you know what I mean? Like, shit like that. he's inscribed.
He's not doing himself any favors with the presentation. That's for sure.
He's got that pocket calculator or whatever. And have you seen that?
Of course I've seen it.
Love it. Anyways. Okay, let's talk about this new Sats boy thing. This is
sure. We talked about this on the show before, by the way.
We'll skip it. Fuck it. Cycle. Let's talk about the cycle. We're in a cycle here, and I think it's scam time for this type of cycle because the California governor Gavin Newsome, he's watching things unfold, and he wants to be just like Trump, I think, in a way, or maybe he's trolling him. I don't know. And Trump has released the Melania coin, the Trump coin, and they made money. Then they have the World Liberty Feist. I don't know what the fuck that shit is. These guys, they are just padding their pocketbooks and their pockets, and they're just using you as exit liquidity. But either way, Gavin Newsome, he wants to join the action, and he's releasing his own meme coin. And I don't know. I guess grifters can't act on their own. They have to all act together. We are part of the mania part of the cycle, I'm thinking. And he's doing this, he's saying, for a noble cause, Joey. He's doing this out of nobility. And I guess there's no more noble than actually taking money from people and making yourself rich at the expense of others. The intention of this, he's saying, is to troll Trump. And he's even considering using the name the Trump corruption coin on this as one of the best names for this asset. I don't understand what's the purpose of
this. Guy's always in front of a mic now, eh? Gavin Newsome. He's Gavin. Gavin Newsome is his new nickname. I think he was saying this in jest, but I wouldn't put it past this guy. He's imitating Trump on Twitter. He's trying to, seem more appealing to the people. Meanwhile, his state is a complete dumpster fire. Like, dude, get off of the fucking couch with all these podcasts and fix the problems in your state. Okay. Enough of this guy. Gavin Newsome. Looks like a used car salesman. Handsome guy. Don't get me wrong. I think his wife's pretty hot too, if I remember correctly. Not that matters, but.
So it's not a Macron situation.
Hey, Brigitte, everyone's got their flavor. Some people like, Len, a wise man once said, some people even like grape Gatorade, okay? And so Brigitte,
I've never tried.
She's someone's target love. That's all.
She never tried grape Gatorade. I can't say I'll try everything once. Certain things I draw a line to. By the way, on the topic of
Boomer pointing out in the chat, by the way, that California did clean up the hobos one time when the Chinese president came through, the chairman.
Wouldn't you? I'll be perfectly honest. If the Chinese president is coming to my house, I'll do an extra vacuuming just for the sake of it. Right?
Taking a second lap on the rugs, yeah.
Right, I'll do one extra time. So it's fucking.
I'll get this staircase attachment out if Xi Jinping wants to come for dinner at my place.
It's funny, they relocated all the fucking homeless. They made that part of San Francisco look to be decent when,
like, 1990 San Fran, Full House San Fran.
Yeah, there you go. When Barry Bonds used to do this thing.
Yeah.
The France's government fell again. I'm not sure if you saw.
They have the weirdest government, though. It's not Macron that is in trouble.
He's the president.
He might be in trouble. Yeah. The prime minister fell, not the president.
Right. And so it's the fourth time in a year they're going to go through this. So he's got to pick a new prime minister. So something's happening over there. The IMF is going to have to bail him out, it looks like. Right? So much shit is going on. What a disaster that's turning out to be. That could be the end of the European Union.
What do you think the cause is? What is the cause?
Of the government falling or the economy?
Just general unrest and all this stuff. Like, what is the cause?
They want power. It's power. And this is
I think people are just sick of governments. They're sick of them.
It felt because the ones that are backing the existing government, the left-leaning party, which has the majority, and the right-leaning party, they each want something else. The right-leaning wants an election. The left-leaning wants their candidate to be
installed,
propped up as So I got that as a crash course. I could be wrong. It sounds plausible. So that's particular. So it's just essentially they want power, and as a whole, yeah, you're right. The thing is collapsing because there's so much going on. You see pictures of Paris.
Oh yeah,
right.
It's embarrassing. That one guy who walks around certain European countries. I think he does one in Italy. I think he does one in France too. He's young. He's probably around my age, between 35 and 40. And he does these videos where he's walking around European cities and it's all immigrants. And he's just saying to the camera, like, I'm in France. Where are the French people? I'm in Italy. Where are the Italians? Blah, blah, blah. And I think a lot of people over there, like France has been particularly affected by this. They've had it. I think they've had 2 terrorist attacks in the last 10 years over there. Significant, obviously, increase in immigration. and some pretty wild videos of like people trying to abduct kids in front of their homes. Everyone's seen that video at this point of the migrant like trying to kick his foot in the door and steal the woman's daughter while she's waiting for her mom. And, not to mention the sort of European story right now is that the economies over there are failing. If you just take broad strokes, it's not a good situation. Macron though is held on somehow, right? He has had to jail his opponents a few times, but I don't
Le Pen,
know.
yeah, she's banned from.
I think Le Pen's daughter is also banned, by the way, who is also hot. Bring back hot
good for
politicians.
I have to give him credit. Yeah, good for him for like retaining power in a very right. Like most people would capitulate. Not him. He's gonna fucking hang on as long as possible. Anyways, let's talk about more Bitcoin stuff because we're transitioning to the rest of the stories. We shouldn't do that yet. And this isn't another part of the cycle. I'm just not exactly sure what the fuck it is because mark October 21st in your calendars because the Federal Reserve are going to be hosting a conference on what they call payment innovations. I'm going to put those air quotes. Can't do it in this narrowed window we put here. And the conference will be exploring emerging topics like stable coins, use cases, and the intersection of artificial intelligence, AI is fucking in every discussion these days, and payments and the tokenization of financial products and services.
Yep.
And they say they're going to be bringing together leading industry experts to share perspectives on the evolving landscape.
They're all working in the White House already. The entire PayPal mafia is, adjacent to Trump at this point. Thiel, Musk, Sachs, you name it. They're all there already. So what are they going to do? They're going to bring him into the White House. What do you mean? They're just going to walk across the lawn. They're already on the property. Yeah.
But note the timing. This is October 21. So it gives you, Joey, an opportunity to still attend the Canadian Bitcoin conference and then hop on a flight, go to Washington, and then attend this.
Wait for my invite. Is it getting mailed somewhere else? I know we have the business address set to the accountant's office. Is it maybe getting mailed there and I have to go pick it up, my invitation?
They do everything by email. Or actually, the government now just puts shit on Bitcoin and you get it from there, right?
Yeah, true.
Have they put your invitation?
I can just get a signed transaction with my valet ticket.
Find the proper block number to get it. Right? Like I don't understand what's the point of.
I'll tell you what the point is. Let me
please inform me as I
got a lot to say. I got a lot to say on this. And I'm going to try and draw some lines I don't think people are ready for, but we're going to try.
Please draw them.
So what I see here is the need. This is not new. It's not my brainchild. This particular part. What you have here is the need to increase treasury demand, and stablecoins in the US will be backed by treasuries. That's the law they're going to make around these things. If they haven't already, I guess the Genius Act probably established that. So you're going to increase the demand for treasuries by making everything a quote unquote stablecoin payment. Having tokenized equities purchased with stablecoins, having people hold stablecoins in their bank account, having the Fed hold stablecoins, all this stuff, not to mention the overseas piece. I think though, what I'm seeing, Bank of Canada or ShakePay also today talking about a CAD stablecoin. By the way, they're launching.
One exists.
They're launching a Canadian dollar stablecoin. Not that I've seen. I got to look at this tweet right now and double check. But it seems to me they're launching a Canadian dollar stablecoin.
I believe there is one, isn't it? They're Liquid Cat or something. Oh, could be wrong. There is a Canadian dollar stable.
Big news. We're teaming up with leading fintechs and financial institutions to support Tetra Digital Group in building a regulated homegrown Canadian dollar stablecoin launching in 2026. So it's new. When I look at all this stuff, I think governments. So this is a bit of a stretch, but I'm going to try and put this together and see what you guys think. See what you think, especially since you're my co-host. I think there's a case to be made here that the US wants a piece of the remittances market, and they're going to try and get it through stablecoins. They're looking at places like, think about the demand just in Canada, for example, by Indian immigrants. Do you know what percentage of Indian GDP comes from remittances?
I wouldn't even have a clue.
It's almost
7%.
It's almost 5%. It's a huge and growing number. So they actually, when people ask like, why is there so many Indians everywhere? It's because the Indian government needs remittances to grow the GDP of the country. Okay. they are not alone in that regard. I'm sure African countries are doing the same thing, and some other third world nations are considering this strategy if they're not already trying to execute it. So the US is looking at this, Canada's looking at this, and they're going, how can we benefit? We already know the benefits of having cheap labor, these LMIAs and fake asylum seekers, whatever, coming over and working for free, delivering phone cases and tacos and whatever else people are financing for $5 and under over for equal payments through Klarna and Pay Later and all this other nonsense. How else can we benefit? There's billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions, if not more, going into just India alone. I think the number I saw was 134 billion in 2024. Huge, like that is a huge number that no one is getting any benefit from except Western Union, right? So if you start adding all these numbers up, you can build demand for US treasuries. And I see the boomer saying the bond market is involved in this, maybe, but I'm talking about treasuries for now, since treasuries is the thing that is going to back this. I think there's a move here from governments to try and invent demand, to try and conjure up demand for their debt that no one else wants with these stable coins. And I think you're going to see this pop up more and more and more. The UK is going to do it, or Europe's going to do it, or we're going to do it, or the States is going to do it. Anywhere where there's a lot of third world immigration, there's going to be an attempt to make this happen. That's one reason. The other reason is that clearly the stable coin is the CBDC. There's no doubt about this. The stable coin is the CBDC. The government needs more tax revenues, and they're having a hard time getting it, to be honest with you. People are sending money around the world. They're having trouble seeing it. With stuff like Bitcoin, it's even more difficult. And collecting tax from the people who you need to collect tax from, the most well-equipped to dodge it, right, legally or otherwise, the rich and the well-capitalized, they're not paying what the government thinks they should be. And so you have to eliminate the loopholes. You do that with CBDCs, programmable money. I think this is just a matter of necessity for them. The question on the side of, if I was going to drop a white pill here, it's on the side of execution and timeliness. Like, can they get this done before other stuff takes over? And actually, I think Mark talks about this too from time to time, that there's a question between, there's not a question of methods, there's a question of timelines. We know that this is what governments want. They all want it, and they will all cooperate to get it. But the question is, can they do it before it's too late, I guess, to put it in simple terms.
Yeah, it's like it's on last legs, right? And
and
how quick can they get it out?
Exactly. It feels like we're already close, Like,
I have a question though with you. This is I have no idea, and you know what? I'm very happy I'm unplugged from all this, but the question I have is the CBDC / stablecoin argument. And if you think the stablecoin will be the CBDC, who runs that? Are they going to run their own, or are they going to use USDC or Circle or Tether to do their own thing?
That's a good question. Because ShakePay now is the company to ask about that here.
But then it's not a CBDC at that point, right? Well, because in order to have to be, I'm just looking at the definition of.
Yeah.
Then you're just utilizing somebody else's.
So
go on.
The CBDC thing. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds to me like, the question you're posturing to ask is, what good does it do the government to have a quote unquote CBDC that's not issued and controlled by them, right?
100%.
To have that right. So let me point to something that already was attempted, right? Between 2020 and 2023, for whenever Elon bought Twitter. The government can't suppress speech. They're not allowed. They can't say to you, this is against the Second Amendment, or the First Amendment, I should say. Like, you have a right to free speech, blah, blah, blah. Unless you're calling for violence or whatever, you can say basically whatever you want. You can insult people. You can, make claims about vaccines. You can make claims about the origin of a virus. You can make claims about WEF. You can put YouTube videos out about this stuff. You can do whatever you want. Government can't, in the US, I'll use the US example. The government can't necessarily suppress that information. They can't say to you, you're not allowed to say that, because you are allowed to say it. What they can do is deputize a company over which they hold some influence to do that for them. And so Twitter in a good example, was deputized by the government to make the case to people, the government made the case to Twitter that, these tweets and those tweets are breaking your terms of service. And if they're not breaking your terms of service, here's what you should add to your terms of service so that we don't have to deal with misinformation, disinformation, racism, sexism, whatever, right? Whatever the flavor of the day was for speech that was unpopular. So by deputizing these companies, they're able to execute on the mission without looking like the bad guy to the 99%, to the normie crowd, right? Well, it wasn't the government that told you couldn't buy weapons or meat or whatever with your CBDC, couldn't buy Bitcoin with your CBDC. It was ShakePay. It was Circle. It was Coinbase. This is happening and has happened in the past with Visa and MasterCard during, gun hysteria. Every time there's a shooting in the States, you might remember a few years ago, Visa and MasterCard said, we're not going to allow people to buy guns and ammo. Okay. That's your right as a company. But the pressure for that, where does the pressure for that come from? It comes from the government. And the deputization of companies that run payment networks, that run, you name it, right? Whatever the sort of du jour issue or cause is, if they can put their thumb on the scale without actually changing a law or sending police or doing whatever, they'll do it. That's why the centralization of these things is so dangerous, right? If ShakePay is the only Canadian company issuing a stablecoin, then they only have to lean on one. If Visa and MasterCard are the only payment rails, they only have to lean on two. If Reddit is the only place to find information about vaccine side effects, they don't have to lean on that, right? Twitter, whatever, Facebook. Easy to do if it's centralized. The thing that makes Bitcoin so dangerous is that it's not centralized. And, when we talked in the past about how corporate miners can be deputized, node runners, corporate node runners can be deputized. Places like Liquid, right? If you have a company that routes Lightning transactions and people don't want to see private transactions, well, the thumb will come down on that scale. And it's not just Canada and the US doing this. Where are you seeing this right now? You're seeing it in the UK. The UK is doing this to every company. You have to age verify everybody, which is just a digital ID, basically, putting a name and a face to each username butt monkey 69 is now, John Smith of Birmingham. He's 28 and he's saying things online about people we don't like. He's calling Keir Starmer Keir Stalin, and he has an Instagram page that we don't like. And they can deputize companies outside, or they're trying to deputize companies outside of the UK. Now, thankfully, the US is fighting back. Preston Byrne and others saying absolutely fucking not. But in Canada, we can't fight that. It's difficult. We don't have those enshrined rights, free speech and whatnot, right? So the deputization of these companies is a thing to be concerned about. And I think that should answer your question. If they don't control it, what's the point? Well, they do control it, but they're just one degree of separation from the blowback, basically.
Interesting point. I don't say I entirely agree. I still think that there's a lot that's going to be given up if you're going to ask somebody else to manage that node, that central node, to verify transactions and have stablecoins sent from one address to another. And I can't see them having anybody else. It's one thing about information. Mm-hmm. Is information, you could talk about it being on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, but it's still kind of fragmented in a way. Not all information, it comes from one spot. But when you're talking about US dollars, you're talking about the Federal Reserve. And I just don't see them, the people behind it, and the people controlling it, just wanted to give up any sort of. It's so powerful what they're able to do with that, and giving up even a little bit of it is. That's why I think that the whole thought of a CBDC that they created, that they rolled out, seemed to be a reasonable outcome. Maybe I've always questioned when. I don't think it's anytime soon, but I think by doing that, then it gives them, and having them have the proof of authority, that node gives them just so much more power and keeps that power. I don't know.
We'll see. There's no reason it can't be a mix of the two, though. There's no reason it can't be some mix of the two, right?
100%. Yeah. It's still all going to roll up to.
Yeah. In either case, decisions to censor or blacklist, I think you're right. They roll up. They don't roll down. There's no independent decision making there by corporations or private entities. That's for sure. I agree with that.
Remember FTX? That
of course.
Up, like November 2022. the SEC.
That was 3
trying-
years ago almost. Oh my
Mhm.
God. Time is flying. Okay.
So if you recall 2022, we had BlockFi, we had Celsius, FTX, not in this order. FTX, I believe, was the last one. But the first domino that fell was Luna, Terra Luna. So
That was in
Terra
the
Luna
summer,
fell. Then I don't know, flip a coin between BlockFi and Celsius, and then later on in the fall was FTX. Either way, the SEC, they're trying to get more information as to what happened here, right? The FTX debacle, and to see, let's try to get to the bottom of it so it doesn't happen again. Gary Gensler's phone is a black hole, right? This is the guy, the chair, or used to be the chair of the SEC. His mobile device, all the texts in it for a period of time gone because of IT errors and poor oversight. These are the guys, remember, Joey, they can't properly manage a Twitter account.
Yeah.
Remember?
The ETF launch. Yeah.
So they can't manage a Twitter account. They can't manage cell phones. What happened here, and I'm not fucking shocked, Gensler's phone stopped syncing with the agency's system back in July of 2023. And that was due to an error of security measures. Then all messages from October 2022 to September 2023 were erased because of these security measures. For context, remember FTX went tits up November 2022. So just a month before to September of 2023, all those texts are gone. So everything that he was sending, and you know what? These guys, they're controlling the fucking walled garden here.
Yeah.
This is a absolute travesty. I have no faith in these motherfuckers.
Do you think it's a legit story?
I don't care.
Go ahead.
If it's legitimate, then it's bad.
I think
If
it's legit.
not,
I think it's legit.
and if it's not, and they're using this as because they're trying to hide something, it's equally as bad. But yeah, like it does sound plausible, right? It seems like it's a reason. That's fucked up, man. And right, and so remember when every time everybody wants, I want to buy this or this equity or that equity. How did it end up getting there? Because the SEC approved it and all. These are the people that are behind it, and they can't even fucking manage, like I say, a Twitter account.
But they're trying their best, Len. They're trying their best.
You know what? It's not about effort. It's about results. That's what it is. I could go and play on an NBA team and I could play my hardest, but you know what? The results are not going to show up on the court. So the reality is you're going to cut my ass faster than I can sign my name on the dotted line.
Oh man. That's a great story.
Sure
I haven't thought about Gensler at all. It's weird to me that he was so public about his thoughts on the Bitcoin ETFs and the Bitcoin price and Bitcoin as an asset when he was the chair of the SEC. And when he was removed, he there's no media tour. He doesn't speak to any, I haven't seen a Gensler speaking engagement. I never see him at these at Deal Book or whatever at the Economic Club of New York. I don't see him anywhere. A lot of these guys
refuse. It's like, you do something.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. But it's weird that because he's public before, right? He was a professor at
MIT or something, or
was it MIT? I was gonna say MIT. Okay. But now he's like nowhere. Yeah, boomer. Gary wasn't the villain. Yes, he fucking was. He made, whether you're just following orders or not, saying the things he said, he was a villain in my view.
It was MIT. You're right.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Fan of the BitAxe. I think all of us kind of are. I still have mine. I'm using
people who listen to this show bought every BitAxe that Decentral made with our branding on it. So I mean, there are some fans listening. That's for sure.
And you know what? It's a great lottery ticket. Every 10 minutes on average, you're in the running for winning 3.25 Bitcoin or 3.1, whatever the fuck.
3.125. Yeah.
So if you're a fan of it, there is now a new UI that's available called the Axe Well. It's one word, Axe Well. And this is the alternative to the Axe OS. And it integrates into existing BitAxes. And if you could give this a shot, if you don't like it, you can always revert back to the Axe OS. And this doesn't change the functionality of the BitAxe. It doesn't make it any better or worse at mining. It just is a new skin. It's like it just changing your clothes. You could change the clothes underneath, the same thing. You are the same person in the end. But it's an option if you don't like the AXOS for whatever reason. There's an alternative out there. Screenshots are available if you check out the GitHub. It's the RUCHUS. That's the guy that's running it on GitHub.
Ruckus. Yeah.
Ruckus, and it's Axwell is named AXEWELL.
Pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Bidax. Yeah, it looks great. I was gonna say Bidax is really friendly to this kind of stuff. Everyone is trying their own different flavors and iterations, and I've seen so many great Bidax posts on Twitter because my algo thinks that actually it doesn't think I like Bidaxes. It knows I do, and they're kind of neat. They're a neat gadget. You're not gonna get rich off of Bidax unless you hit a solo block, but they are a neat gadget to kind of mess around with and see what is hash. What does hash look like? How much hash can you get out of a tabletop miner? It's not like the ones 256 sells, but it's a trinket. It's a trinket lottery ticket, like you said. It's neat. It's very neat.
What I like about the Bidax is that it doesn't cost a lot to buy. It doesn't cost a lot to run. It is quiet. It sips energy. So it gives you an opportunity to try out mining without going into a bigger setup.
Yeah.
So I like it a lot, but just solo mining is the way to go. If you're going to go in a pool, you're going to get absolutely nothing.
I'm with you.
Solo mining, man, there are Bidaxes that won in the past. They did.
Think about the last year. It was like probably 4 times a Bidax.
Yeah, I would say more, but yeah, like it's.
I mean, it's not great odds. It's not great odds.
I'm gonna continue to run it.
Yeah, enough that you should do it. Yeah,
I'm still gonna fucking run it. Okay, last story we'll talk about is the Canadian government. They released a report called the 2025 Assessment of Money Laundering and Terrorist Financing Risks in Canada. It's a mouthful. Yeah. And it's the same old stuff that's in this report. It talks about digital assets being used to fund stuff like Hamas and Hezbollah. And they say that while Bitcoin has always featured prominently in suspicious transaction reporting, Tether USDT is now outpacing Bitcoin as the cryptocurrency of choice, specifically for Daesh and its affiliates. Surprisingly, they call it Daesh instead of ISIS.
Daesh?
So ISIS, if you say ISIS in Arabic, it's Daesh. So that's what it would be.
That's like a virtue signal by us, I guess. We have to use the right language. We are naming streets and squares after languages that never had any written word. So this is not surprising, really.
So they say the methods employed are to obscure the flow of the proceeds of crime, including cash smuggling. So they are acknowledging that cash is also part of this whole fucking equation here.
Shocker.
They say there's international electronic transfers, use of nominees, and the establishment of front and shell companies. And I'm wondering if Kindly MD could be considered one of the shell companies. Just
there's the weekly shot at David Bailey.
We should actually fucking that should be.
Who wants to sponsor it? Listen, we run on 256. If anyone wants to sponsor Len's weekly jab at Bitcoin Magazine, reach out. It's cheap. You can do it. It won't be that expensive.
So they say that in addition, financial intelligence suggests that individuals or entities suspected of having a significant role in car trafficking are consistently observed owning or frequently transacting with freight transportation or logistic companies, car dealerships, auto part companies, especially ones located in the GTA and Greater Toronto area.
Shocker.
Weren't we told to leave our keys at the front door? Remember that?
Yeah.
We have to leave our keys.
I was supposed to comply with whoever comes into my house now, I think, right? That's the advice I've been given.
But if we do that, now we're complicit with giving funds to terrorists. So now I'm conflicted. Do I not give the keys?
You get arrested when your car gets stolen.
I don't know what to fucking do
now.
Car
with a VIN related to you going overseas with Tether. You want to make comments on that? We're going to bring you down to the station, sir. Just ask you a few questions.
USDT, I'm just happy to see that Bitcoin is no longer top of the list when it comes to this stuff. Now they're saying that USDT is now taking the mantle of being number one.
I love it.
Yeah, good for them, man. They could keep it.
Hey, that's good. It's good to have some parity in the league, right? You don't want to have the same guys winning all the time. Let's bring these up and comers to the top.
And you know what? Do you like that parity stuff in leagues or no?
I think that it's okay, but I think from a ratings point of view, everyone likes to cheer against a juggernaut. And so a juggernaut sometimes is good for the league. And also, like, anyone who's played a sport at a high level knows that you have a reserve of available talent that you can only tap under certain circumstances, right? One of those circumstances is, you're David and you're going up against Goliath. And so those are also important things to consider if you're a league, I think. How many of those kind of games do you want? You want to see the upsets, and it creates new stars for your league, in my opinion.
That's it for the Bitcoin side of things, which is perfect because we're about 55
minutes
in.
Great.
We transition to the rest of.
Well, let's transition.
Stories.
Yeah, we'll transition. We're going over to notable stories. We got some bangers here today. So sit tight, and if anyone breaks into your house between now and then, just comply. Tell them you're watching the show and to have at it, and close the door behind you so they don't bother you or interrupt your viewing experience.
Yeah, don't leave your keys at the front.
Can you hear? I took off my knee brace there, so I'm in this Zimmer splint for my knee when I'm not doing my exercises. And you have these range of motion exercises you're supposed to do. I swear to God, I love, like I said to you last week, surgeon I had was great. Both of them were great. The rehab guy I'm going to, the movement in Dundas, it's great too. But everything is geared toward the dumbest, fattest, most retarded people. And so the exercises they give you for the first 2 weeks are like, just move your knee back and forth, which is important for the first little while, because the graft site where they take the tendon, they take my patellar tendon, the middle third of it, and sew the outside thirds together. As I try and find the camera, they sew the outside thirds together, and that middle third becomes your new ACL. So they drill the tunnel and pull it through. And I think I said this before, they take a bit of bone on either side of the patellar tendon so it heals better. You get these little bone plugs plus some screws. And the number of times I have moved my knee from straight, I'm doing it right now. I don't know if you can hear the slider I have on the floor, but I have this little slider I got off Amazon. I'm doing this hundreds of times a day, along with other stuff too, like, marches, sort of shifting weight onto that leg, because I think tomorrow I'll be out of that Zimmer and into a DonJoy, like a hinged brace. The thing that I would say to people who are going through this, if you ever go through something like this, you can do more than the physiotherapist says, but just know that these are delicate processes for the first 2 weeks. There's a lot going on. Like, they're in your joint and stuff like that. And they've done some cutting and some drilling and some sewing and some screwing. And you will feel a lot of clicking. Like, my knee clicks so much now for the first little while, because there's like little cartilage damage and swelling and stuff like that, right? And the wildest thing, I kind of forgot about it because it's been so long since I had this done on the other knee. When you're bending your knee, so if your knee's like this, right? You're bending it at the joint. You can't get it to 90. You can probably get it to like right there. And at that point, you can actually feel in the tunnel where the screws are. It's wild because it's just a little tight, right? Like, the bone is sort of doing something there, but you don't know what, but you know that you can't bend further than that. And it's an interesting feeling. Anyway, that's the ACL update for this week. Next time you see me, I'll be back to working out.
Didn't talk about was El Salvador buying gold, apparently.
Oh, what a shock. Are we done with El Salvador yet? Are we done?
But they also saying they're buying 21 Bitcoin for today.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I'm sure he is. When is he going to announce he's El Salvadorian Gold Beach and Gold City? When's that coming? Huh? When's he coming? When's he coming?
We're going to relocate.
We're done
there?
with this guy. Are we finished? Or are we done? Are we finished? Or are we done with this guy?
Man, never.
Brutal.
Never.
Brutal.
Because it's yeah. Anyways, we could talk about the August U.S. non-payroll data. That was
non-farm,
and not just that. The Canadian job report was pretty bad.
Nuked.
And absolutely nuked, both of them. And so, with respect for the American ones, they were expecting it to be 22,000. Sorry, it was 75,000. But in reality, 22,000 were created. Yep. So it's just a fraction. And Canada,
Native born Americans bouncing back a little bit there, by the way, but still not enough. And I think that there's some public service numbers in there that are alarming as well, much like ours, actually.
Yeah, and Canada lost 66,000 jobs. 66,000 jobs in August, and so unemployment is now creeping up. It's past 7.1%. And Canada obviously is dealing with the tariffs, but it looks like we've kind of shelved that for the time being. right? I guess.
It's one way to put it. Yeah. It's been shelved.
What is
already.
it? Absolutely. So this is September is a month they're going to discuss rate cuts, right? I don't know what time.
It's this week. It's this week, isn't it?
Oh, holy fuck! Okay, very good. So that's gonna be fun to watch.
I'll tell you when it is. It's in
Thursday,
17th, so next week. My bank. I'm renewing my mortgage right now.
Wednesday.
And I'm having these discussions with the bank about. I was going to do an episode on this, and I know Ron Butler said he would do it, but I don't want to bug him because it's not really enough for an episode. I don't think anymore. But if you're renegotiating a mortgage right now, first of all, don't lose your patience with the first person you talk to. Like the people at the bank are trying their best. They're not all as well informed and as well read as you guys are or as we are. But I was explaining to the woman who was talking to me about my renewal that if I look at their own economic data, they're projecting significant cuts between now and the end of next year. If I look at the states, same thing. If I look at the jobs numbers, it shows that, it's not going to be 25, it's going to be 50 coming up pretty soon. And by the way, the states now, it's really just a matter of logistics, let's say, on the cuts. You're going to get 75 points worth of cuts, basis points worth of cuts between now and the end of the year. The question is, will they do it in 325s or 15 and 25? That's the only question left, is how they're going to distribute the points. But they're going to do 75 bips. You didn't mention there, but the payroll data revisions are this week as well. I think tomorrow, actually, they're announced, and it's expected to be the largest downward revision in 30 years.
But they put this stuff on Bitcoin. How could they change this?
Turns out that
it's not going back.
Len, when it's cheap to spam, you can just add another.
Just keep doing this.
Yeah.
No,
just throw another set of data on.
If they're going to lower rates, Canada too is going to lower rates.
We're going to lower for sure, 100%. Yeah.
Do you think that's going to impact mortgages? Because I ask because mortgage rates, if you look at,
they don't always respond. They don't always respond. Yeah, I know.
Right,
I know.
And that's what I'm wondering. Because
the question is, okay. So Boomer says 10-year. I think it's actually the 5-year, but I'll have to double check that. The thing I would say is that the overnight rate in Canada is a leading indicator that mortgage rates will come down on a lag, and it's only because weakness means housing weakness, right? The other side of that coin would be that immigration is coming down, but as we've seen with these charts over the last little while, immigration not actually coming down at all. And I think people who say that are incorrect. I would include Ben Rabideau in that. We had it out on this show. Not had it out. It was amicable sort of back and forth about whether or not those numbers are actually decreasing. They're not. It's clear that they're not. They're actually the same or higher. So do I think that it's necessarily going to mean mortgage rates drop at the same time? No. But I do think that if you get a variable rate mortgage, you'll be happy you did it for the next 2 years, probably minimum. If not longer. That's not financial advice, but that is what I'm planning to do. I'm planning to sign a 3 or 4 year variable rate mortgage. I might sign a 2-year, even if the rate is decent, because then it would match up with the other half of my mortgage. But I don't know. These are all things to think about. The interesting thing, and the sort of the point of the story here, is that the economy is rolling over. And like I said in the title, in the thumbnail there, like, you're ready for cuts. Gold is absolutely fucking ripping. And Bitcoin follows gold on like a 90, 100-day lag, and the move is more volatile. So, 150K by the end of the year, I think is a reasonable target, to be perfectly honest. You're going to get 3 rate cuts between now and then. I think you're going to get a good look at 150. You might get a look at $4,000 gold too, to be honest with you. At 1% every week, you're over $4,000. So, yeah, Boomer in the chat, cuts are priced in. I totally disagree. I think that's incorrect. If they're not priced in gold, then they're not priced in anywhere else.
Just keep buying.
I think that's the answer. I do think that's the answer. Yeah, I sent you some money today. Did you see that? Did you buy with it?
No, I didn't. No, I have to look.
Your wife didn't tell you. Oh no.
Kept it on. The fuck. No. So, and then that's the Bitcoiner in me is like, just keep buying. Who the fuck cares? But in reality, it will impact a lot of your day-to-day activities, buying food, buying fuel.
Sure.
Just your
minimum wage in Ontario goes up tomorrow, 3% too. Like everything, they just keep adding fuel to the fire. They won't stop. Dougie pouring fuel on the fire, like pouring booze out at a press conference.
Well, that's tied to quote unquote inflation.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
that's going to
Sure
go up.
it is.
It's not.
Yeah, sure it is.
That's the official answer. So
Yeah.
regardless, it's going to go up next year too, unless they put a freeze to this. It's going to go up with quote unquote inflation again.
Yeah.
Anyways, you want to talk about the fourth party in Canada, the NDP?
This is
Why
the
not?
cisgender signature story.
Yeah, thank you for pronouncing it for me.
So embarrassing.
They're
so
leaderless. They are rudderless.
They're not leaderless. They have an interim leader who's been
an interim leader.
He's been a long time member. He's not just a new come lately guy. But okay, yeah. All right.
It's still they're leaderless. Let's be perfectly honest, right?
Sure.
And they're going to be changing this in a not too distant future because they're going to be going through a leadership convention, a leadership race, and they want to elect one in March of 2026. That's really soon. And in order to qualify for a candidate, in case anybody out there wants to, you have to raise $100,000 and you have to get 500 signatures to qualify. And there's a variety of different things you have to do with those signatures. Because of those 500 signatures, 50% have to come from people who do not identify as a cisgender man. So inclusive, I guess, up to a point, unless you're...
It's embarrassing. Like Don Davies should be ashamed of himself for a guy who considers himself sort of a, I don't know, does he consider himself a cunning political actor? I'm not sure. I don't think anyone in the NDP is saying that out loud these days, but for a guy to take the interim leadership role basically says you're willing to go down with the ship and think you can avoid that result if it comes to your door. Does he have a say in something like this? Maybe. There's probably electoral caucuses and things like this, leadership caucuses that make those decisions, and they aren't able to push back too much. That's a party of the low IQ, right? Low income, low IQ, low testosterone. That's really them, right? They're just low energy losers, cucks. Like what else would you call them? Really, they're useless. The fourth party, as you said, and it's not just an opinion. It's backed up by the seat count. So. They should dissolve, should they not? Should they not go through the same kind of birth, death, creative destruction process that Stockwell Day went through 25 years ago? Should they not be thinking about doing this and coming out as a new party, moving to the right a bit and ignoring the sort of loudest blue hair morons, guys like Matthew Green, permanent victim, Jagmeet Singh. Yeah, he lost, but he's still at the core of the party. I think he's still in the running to be one of the federal leaders. He wants to be the federal leader. So,
wow.
Well, why not? Fuck, the Conservatives did it. They got a guy who has no idea how to win an election. They keep putting him in front of a podium. So why not do it with Matt Green, right? The competition for the NDP leadership is about as deep as a wading pool. So to me, they should dissolve. I don't know why they wouldn't. At the very least, they should abandon these policies that landed them in the gutter. Basically, the political whims of Canadians, they're fickle. But you know what? They're consistently showing us that the NDP is not a party that anyone wants in power. So they should be changing their approach. I think. How long have the NDP been a federal party in their current construction? 30 years.
What do you mean?
Like the Liberals have been a party in Canada for a long, long time. How long have the NDP been a party in Canada like this? 30 years, 40 years, or longer?
I think they were formed in the early 70s or late 60s.
50 years, we'll call it 60 years. Like
they were like CCF or something before.
And you never won. The only reason you even got within a sniff of winning Sussex is because you had a charismatic leader at a time when the Liberals were lost.
No, there was a vacuum, and this is
whatever, same thing. I mean, we're saying the same thing there.
Well, no, not entirely. I think because the guy is gone, I think our opinion of what happened and who he is changed.
Leighton, you're talking about.
Yes, yep. And you have to go back in time and figure out why it is they did so. I can't believe we're going to rehash this, but it was a vacuum. You had a federalist party that had to be elected in Quebec because the bloc collapsed. So which federalist party was going to be elected in Quebec? The Conservatives no. The Liberals, they hated Ignatieff. You were kind of just left by default to go to the NDP. If you recall correctly, there was one candidate that was not even campaigning. She was visiting Las Vegas and won an election.
I didn't know that. That's funny though.
And she turned out to be a pretty good MP in the end. She actually worked very hard for her constituents and everything. But that's aside from the point. I'm just trying to just highlight the fact that there was a vacuum that needed to be filled, and that was filled not because of who the leader was. It was just by default, they are the Federalist Party that people wanted, as opposed to the Blues.
Right. Are cis women allowed to vote in the leadership ballot?
I have no fucking clue. You have to get a bunch of signatures from Indigenous. You have to get a bunch of signatures.
Yeah, see, they're completely
also
lost.
youth.
Don Davies should resign and like just go crawl into a hole and never be seen again in Canadian politics. He was on the Paikin podcast a little while ago. I really like Steve Paikin, and we are 1 degree of separation away from each other thanks to some stuff that both of us do in the community. And next time I see him, I'm going to tell him, like, you should be telling these guys. He's obviously running a show much like we are, and I'm not confrontational with our guests. I don't expect him to be, but you should be telling these guys offline, like, it's time to reconsider what you're seeing, because you have not been successful with this ever, basically, and you just keep sliding the wrong direction. But at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck what the NDP does. The only time I ever think about the NDP is when you bring it up on this show. Otherwise, I never think about them.
Well, for a period of 4 years, they were very much in the limelight because remember they were propping up the Liberal government.
Who took over for Jack Layton, by the way? I don't remember. During that time, right?
Nicole something was the interim leader. Then it was Thomas Mulcair.
Mulcair, that's right. Yep.
Nicole Turmel or something, whatever it was. And then it was Mulcair after that. And then I don't know if there was an interim leader between Mulcair and Jagmeet Singh.
I don't know,
but
doesn't matter.
Anyways,
good luck to them.
All right. You see now that in Canada, the police are telling us to, just comply.
This is
right.
So
And I talked about it on the Bitcoin side of things when they're saying just leave the keys in the front, so that way it's going to be non-confrontational. They just take the car, and like now it's like they come in the house, just abide by whatever demands they have. Like what, right? Like, and a lot of this, it's heat of the moment reaction. Like when something happens, and when yourself or family members in danger, there's an instinct that comes up, right? Mm-hmm. And so you could try to rationalize it all you want and say, I'm going to comply. But in reality, it's not the case. When somebody's bringing a weapon, or it's hard to know if they have a weapon. They could be concealing it. We're just heading in the wrong direction. And I don't know if there's, and I've said it before, like the fact that I don't think we could save this, but it's just, if you're in an urban center, like you're fucked. And it's going to be like, it's going to get progressively worse. And just bear with it. Like, what can I say? It's fucking pathetic.
I have a lot of thoughts on this. The guys at the Line podcast, Jen Gerson and Matt Gurney, I think got this right in a lot of ways. And I'll say what they said, and I agree with most of this, if not all of it. Maybe on the fringes, on the margins, I have some other thoughts. But the act of breaking into someone's house is violent. Okay, that is a violent act. You've demonstrated the willingness to force somebody to bend to your will. Okay. This police chief, who should resign, by the way, in disgrace. He's failed his community. He's failed his officers. I think he's failed police all over Canada with that statement. There's two things you can do, or two things that should impact the outcome if you capitulate to an intruder, right? Or hide, or whatever this guy said. But two of them are really on the police and on the justice system, okay? The first is that you should be able to call the police when someone's trying to break into your home and then go hide or leave the property or whatever. And the expectation should be what? That the police show up at that property inside of 3-4 minutes max, right? And they stop a home invasion. That's enough of a deterrent to to stop someone from coming into your house. A lot of the time, we see this in small communities, not break-ins. Where I am, knock on wood, but there's police stations around here that there's no traffic. If I call the police or fire department, they'll be here in 30 seconds. Not the case where these break-ins are happening. Vaughan, Markham, Toronto. We've talked on this story before. You could be dying in your apartment. The ambulance can't get to you. And even if they get to you, they might get picked off by a Hamas protest. You'll die in the car. That's one problem. Second problem is, what happens if they get caught? The deterrent used to be, if I get caught here, something bad's going to happen to me. I'll spend time in jail. I could get into an altercation with the police. They may use deadly force. And I could wind up, deceased myself, whatever, right? That's no longer the case either. Cops don't use deadly force. They're afraid to. They're villainized. They go on paid leave. You have just a complete shift in attitude by a lot of police forces about that sort of confrontation, that sort of conflict. And the other thing, Len, is the likelihood that you go to jail now is basically zero for break and enter. You break and enter someone, you break into someone's house, rape a kid, and then get released on bail the next day. Go break into someone's house, there's video you waving a gun around on the street, you get bail. So you're not going to jail. The big thing is that, much like the chilling effect, there's like group deterrence that doesn't exist here in Canada. In the States, there's like some fairly high likelihood in states where gun ownership is legal. There's some fairly high likelihood that a house you break into will be able to match you bullet for bullet, if not outgun you, because you're on their turf, right? Here in Canada, there's nothing like that. So, in the States, if 1 in every 10 houses has enough firepower to chew you up at the door, you're not going to break into the other 9 because you're not willing to take the chance for a flat screen TV or whatever, right? For a gold chain. But if none of the homes have guns, and even the homes that do have guns can't use them without fear of retribution from the justice system, there's no group deterrent. There's no chilling effect for the thieves. And so they continue to carry out their actions. I just want to talk a bit about, I see Paulie in the chat saying cops don't come to my house in 30 seconds. No, they won't be here in 30 seconds. It's an exaggeration. But if I call 911, there'll be an emergency vehicle here inside of 2 minutes. It's that close. And, I appreciate that living where I live. And I think a lot of people would want that. But the places where this is happening, plainly, there's an understanding by the criminals that no one's coming, that no one can fight back, and that even if they get caught, they'll be out on the street again or leaving the country, with their cousin's passport or whatever inside of a week. So the idea that you should surrender, and actually the police chief said it best, if people feel like they have to fight back at their door, then we've failed as a police force. Yeah, that's correct. You are correct in that assessment, sir. You have failed as a police force, for sure. No, there's no doubt about that. So again, people are free to take this advice from him or take this advice from any other police chief who says this and capitulate, but there's no guarantee that you won't be killed by an intruder. You see their face, they might kill you. You don't give them exactly what they want, they might kill you. You have a problem with a language barrier. Look at the people getting arrested, right? You have a problem with a language barrier, they might kill you. Or rape your wife, rape your daughter. The social contract has been broken. And like I said earlier, seeing Sean Spear, professor at Ottawa, I think Ottawa or Toronto, one of these, broadly left universities, writing about how there's clearly a problem in immigration and the people coming here they're low trust people. Like, yeah. There's a lot of things that only work in a high trust society. The justice system, the grocery store, schools. Like, you're going to see this collapsing in urban centers. Toronto is going to be just an experiment for the ages. New York too, in the States, experiment for the ages. No guns allowed. Commie mayor. It sucks, but I do think Canadians should own guns. I've said this before. Like, if someone comes to my house, like I'll kill them for sure, no doubt about it. But I don't want it to come to that. But I think every Canadian should be armed. I think it's a rational thing to do. And as I've said before on this program, I'll say it again. This is just me saying this, not Len, even though he's on the screen. The flashpoint will be when a respected member of the community with a family, no criminal record, otherwise pretty squeaky clean, gets into an altercation on his or her property, kills the intruder, and gets punished for it. This guy who just was it Lindsay, Ontario, where he killed the intruder there. Like, this guy doesn't have a voice.
But didn't kill
right?
him. It was
he actually stabbed him with a kitchen knife, and it came out later that the guy had a crossbow. Like, you can't even reach for a kitchen knife in your own house without getting arrested by the cops. When someone with a voice and who's well capitalized or whatever gets into an altercation with somebody and it goes sideways for the intruder, that'll be the watershed moment for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised, Len. This is obviously going to continue and it's going to ramp up because we refuse to learn our lesson in this country. The people who vote for this stuff and live around these people, they're gluttons for punishment. It'll be an election issue, I think, honestly. And it's the only thing I think that could save a Poilievre-led Conservative Party from another defeat is violent crime that's beyond ignoring becoming too prevalent near an election. I think that could probably swing an election, but otherwise they got to dump him too. That's a separate story. But anyway,
remember not that long ago, he was saying that for people that were coming to Canada, temporary foreign workers and students, some of them should have an ability to stay here and become permanent residents.
Yeah.
And And now that the political winds have changed and is blowing in a different direction. And so is his tune. He's talking about LMIA as being too much. It's impacting the lower end of the spectrum where people are having difficulties finding jobs in entry-level positions. I've said it before with him with respect to Bitcoin, when he flip-flopped on that, and I said, look, this is what's going to happen next time. And he flip-flopped now on the LMI thing. And what to say he won't flip-flop on that again? If the political winds change, why wouldn't he? He's done it already a couple of times. And I have just two examples, probably many others as well. And another thing to note too, the Castle laws, is that what it's called?
Castle doctrine in the United States. Yeah.
In Canada, this was changed in 2012
by a conservative government. Yeah.
Yeah. Poilievre was a cabinet minister in Harper's government at the time. So, you know what? Take it for what it's worth. I'm not going to say anything more. You could draw your own conclusions. Another thing we should be wondering is, Mark Carney was out there this past week and he was talking about what Canadian businesses want and the priorities and the things that we have to tackle. He's saying that the chief issue is tariffs and it's impacting businesses. And the second thing he says is access to temporary foreign workers.
Insane.
Businesses need this.
It's insane. It's like, to say that out loud as the PM, just an obvious PR mistake. And like, by the way, Canadians, I was thinking about this the other day, these protests about good enough to work, good enough to stay. Right? You see these guys chanting this all the time. Good enough to work, good enough to stay. The thing is, you're not actually good enough to work either. Like, every business that employs these people, the quality goes downhill. Steep decline. Everything from Tim Hortons to mobile phone stores to cable companies to whatever, right? But whether you need a car wash or a coffee, these guys just fucking can't do it. They can't do it. They don't have the wherewithal, the IQ, the whatever. Okay. You call it whatever you want. They're not good enough to work. And the businesses that hire these people, like, you know how shit they are. You know how shit they are. And you make a good point there, Len, that what's supposed to happen is LMIAs and there's one other designation I forget now. It's like Elite 5 or Elite 3. I forget which one it is, but basically it's like high skill labor, technical labor a lot of the times. It's supposed to compress inequality from the top of the salary scale, right? You bring people in to compete at the top level and drive those high wages down a little bit. They're not meant to come and mix coffees and flip burgers and drive Amazon. Like, it's funny, people, I think, in Canada view those jobs as like LMIA jobs or immigrant jobs. But the fact of the matter is, kids in their 20s, 18, 19, 20, when did they even have a chance to have those jobs? Never. Amazon didn't really become super prevalent until 2018, 19, 20, probably here through the pandemic. People really latched onto it. Now you see Amazon trucks everywhere all the time. How many Canadian kids had a chance to work those jobs or the warehouse jobs or whatever? Probably not many. I would argue even here around where I am, I see that there's farms and whatnot hiring foreign labor. Yeah, I don't know if a kid would take a job on a farm. I would think about it probably for the right. But the thing is, and this other guy, I got to find this guy. There's like a labor market impact assessment like consultant who's been active on Twitter trying to defend like LMIAs are not for everyone. But there is no kids who want to work the overnight shift at KFC. And people in the responses are pointing out correctly that number one, this guy's a fucking con man. Like his whole career relies on bringing in these people from overseas. But number two, the thing that they always leave out of these discussions is no one is willing to work the overnight shift at KFC for $15 an hour. But have you tried it for 25, 26, 27? Some of these LMIA posters, like Michelle Rumper-Garner's Twitter feed says $36 an hour. How many high
everyone
school...
is 30 something
because that's how you get to the high income stream, and the high income stream is an easier process. So like they're cheating the system. They're cheating the system. For
sure.
And everyone
money's
knows
being
it.
exchanged and people come in
and how many high school kids would love to work overnight at KFC for $36 an hour? Shit, every high school kid would. Every kid I knew, my boomer moment here, every kid I knew had a job at a fast food place when I was in high school. We used to go to Wendy's, McDonald's, we'd stay out until 1 or 2 o'clock. With one guy we knew with a car, we'd all chip in a couple bucks for gas. You're picking people up off work. Like they'd come get me at Zeller's. Then we'd go to American Eagle, get someone else, go get somebody else down the street. Right. And go visit people who are working the overnight shifts at fast food places. Is it the most glorious job? No, but kids don't need glorious jobs. They just need experience. They need socialization. They need, experience dealing with people, handling money, handling responsibility, working on a schedule, independent. Like we're not doing that now. Instead, we're handing it to Gurpreet and other immigrants. Right. And it sucks. Like it's almost like impossible now to separate this from Indian immigration. It's almost impossible. Every food service place is Indians. Every Uber driver is Indian. Every taxi driver is Indian. It's so prevalent, and it is causing problems for kids. Like, it is what it is. You can't deny it anymore, and it's good to see people writing about it in settings that would have gotten them fired, a year ago, 2 years ago. The Overton window is shifting, right? It's expanding for sure.
Let it expand. It hasn't expanded to encapsulate this one. This is more a feel-good moment more than anything. In formerly known as Young Dundas Square, we have Sankofa Square. Over in Sankofa Square, they've put up a African ancestral acknowledgement over there. I'm not sure if you saw this.
I did.
And it reads, "As we gather on Sankofa Square, we acknowledge all treaty peoples, including those that came here as settlers, migrants, either in a generation or in generations past, and those of African descent who came here involuntarily through the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. Please joining us in paying tribute to these ancestors and the spirit of resilience, honoring the past to build a better future together." Wonderful stuff. I feel better after reading that. I don't know about you after hearing it, but that's
I think we should replace we should replace the hip hop intro from D's Laughs with that acknowledgement. Yeah.
Maybe we could hire a temporary foreign worker to read it for us.
Yeah, $36 an hour. As long as he kicks back 30 of it to me, no problem.
Well, if he reads it, and
whose basement is he gonna live in though? Not mine. I'm not having him. You can have him live.
There's
in your basement.
Hey, we didn't talk about living arrangements. Fucking just reading this thing, right? Like, come on. Anyway. Remember the LMAs? They make up a bunch of people. Remember that new category that was uncovered? Something like 15 million people.
What is it? The International Mobility Program or something?
My gosh. And then the Canadian website that talked about how you could come to Canada without having an LMI.
The best.
Incredibly, it was something like 30% of the Canadian population has been is coming from the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
30% of the total population.
It's a disaster.
That's honestly amazingly high.
The calls on Twitter for not only a halt of the migrant worker programs and, basically all migration, but now the call for re-migration, sending people who came here like somewhat legally, I guess, or like legally but temporarily, whatever, like sending them back home. You're going to have ugly racism start to show up in mainstream thinking pretty soon. Zoomers and younger kids who can't work, and don't have third spaces because they're just conquered by foreigners, like the shopping mall, right? I saw a good post the other day on Reddit that in some Ontario town, you just can't go to the mall anymore because it's just all people who don't speak your language. They're working there, they're visiting there. Like the mall's it's been turned foreign. This is how you radicalize a population, by doing this, and there's going to be good people that pay a price for this. I don't know what to say really about it. It's unfortunate, but it's not unfortunate. It's the wrong word because it's not luck of the draw. It was predictable. In fact, anyone who predicted it was called a racist and a xenophobe by government officials up until basically 6 months ago. So
and I think the sole purpose of all this was just to keep the GDP
GDP rolling. Yeah, for sure.
Not the GDP per capita, just GDP.
Yeah,
the total number, and that was really it. And this is the end result of that. Joey, we're 1:30 into this whole thing, about 30 something minutes into the rest of the stories. We can transition to the Hamilton versus Brampton man if you want. And,
I'd love to. Brought to you by our friends at 256 Heat. 256 Heat. Heat your home with hash power. Okay. Can you hear my miner right now? It's running the same place it was last time. I have to hang it on the wall over there somewhere. I have netted, I think, about $60
allegedly.
Yeah,
allegedly you netted this.
If I had run it at low voltage, low wattage since the day I got it, I would net about $60. And it wouldn't have cost me that much in electricity. So it's heating this room. Great. I told Twan the other day, I actually ordered a assault bike and a hamstring leg curl machine, like industrial corporate gym style, corporate gym quality, which I'm really excited about. And I'm going to build a gym in my garage as opposed to where you guys usually see me working out in my HVAC room. And I'm going to bring this heater out there and probably get another one from Twan because, hey, they work. The room is nice and warm and it's consistent heat and it's paid for by Bitcoin. So can't beat it. I know a couple of you guys have reached out to Twan already. Keep it going. 256heat.com. Get paid to heat your house, man. Why the hell would you not?
The time is come for that.
I'm shutting off the chat. Here we go. There we go. Yeah. We're going in blind. So
yeah, you could play at home and play along with us, and hopefully you enjoy it. Wait for the home version to come out, the board game. Hamilton
it's gonna be a DVD, interactive DVD, interactive VHS, like that game Nightmare.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, sure. I fucking do. Absolutely. All right, let's talk about this guy and gal who they went out there and they stole a bunch of meat with a baby, and a man was arrested.
Wait a minute. Hold on. They stole a bunch of meat with a baby?
I'll explain why. So this man and gal, they were arrested on suspicion of shoplifting. They were shoplifted because, well, what happened? They had a stroller with a baby in it. And they decided, you know what? Let's go to the fucking grocery store and load up on groceries. According to police, the man and woman, allegedly, they were working together to steal a significant amount of meat from a grocery store. And the woman who was pushing the stroller, the baby in a stroller, she was acting as the lookout. And she was trying to distract people while the man stuffed high-priced cuts of meat in a bag and put it in the baby stroller. And they try to leave the store without fucking paying. And in the end, the store security confronted them. The police were called. This is the best part of it. The man was arrested and faced with theft charges. And the woman was also charged. And they were let go. And they reacted back over. I love that stuff. So yes, we have they stole some meat, some high quality, high priced, the cream of the crop meat. Yeah. And they shoved it in So that way they can hide it along with their baby. That's number one. So I don't know if that's Hamilton or Brampton. The second we have, this guy was driving on the wrong way of the busiest highways, 400
Oh
series
God,
highways.
we already know which one.
No, but this gets even better, Joey.
Okay.
It's here 44 fucking kilometers before police ended up stopping him.
Where was he? On the shoulder?
No, on the fucking highway itself. He was weaving in and out.
Going the wrong way
traffic.
down, like he's in traffic. Wow.
Just weaving in throughout the 400 series highway. And so the police, the OPP officer was listening on the radio scanner and hearing about some lane hopping that's going on between lanes and going on lanes, shoulders, going through oncoming traffic, the whole 9 yards. And they said he traveled a long way. And they said the driver not only stayed on the highway, but he also exited at a service center. But he didn't stop there for a coffee or gas. He went straight through back on the highway. Luckily, nobody was killed. Beauty story, 29-year-old man was charged with possession of marijuana, and he was not charged with impaired driving. Not charged. Apparently, he was charged for some other bullshit. Released at a promise to appear to court at a later date. So
the couple is the Hamilton couple, the non-Brampton couple. I know this because I think most of the time the Brampton man population doesn't really go for like meats, right? They're more of the rice and veggie type. So high priced cuts of meat, probably not. But as soon as you said driving the wrong way, I knew right away.
He went right away.
Yeah. Did we want to say the name of the guy? Is it like a Sing adjacent name?
So I could tell you that you're wrong.
Wow.
It's the Hamilton man. Yeah.
I had it backwards.
You had it backwards.
Finally a miss. Wow. No way. Okay.
Yeah. No names are given in this CBC story. But yeah, he went the wrong way on the 403, 401, Woodstock, the whole nine. I had to keep those. But the others apparently meet in the Sikh community.
Yeah.
From when they could eat like beef and stuff. It's Hindus that can't eat beef.
Okay.
But Sikhs can, from what I understand.
Interesting.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody's out there.
Yeah.
So there you go.
We're seeking the correct answer on that. So
we are seeking the Sikhs. Finally, threw a curveball at you.
Stumped. Yeah, I can't believe it. I had no idea.
But yeah, there you go. We'll be back next week with some more Hamilton versus Brampton. And if you have a good one and you want to send my way, I'll be happy to take it because there's some good ones, especially for Brampton. There's some that I just can't post. I can't talk about because they're pretty off color and stuff. But it's a great place to live. That's all I gotta say.
We're out of here. Thanks for listening.
And my brother-in-law lives there, by the way.
Well, we can get him on. He can co-host next time you're away. We'll just do
some
Brampton man the whole time. Yeah.
Now we're going to transition to the shitcoin side of things. This is the shitcoiner side of the podcast. I got a lot to talk about, Joey. You want to talk about some shitcoins now or no?
I thought we were leaving. Are we done?
We are fucking leaving, man. This is almost an hour and 40.
Yeah, that was a long one. Good rip, though. Come back Wednesday. Me, Len, maybe, and the Bugle guys for sure. We'll be here chopping up for an hour, see what those guys are up to and what the latest and greatest in satirizing the space is.
There's only one way to end this. As we gather here at the CBP podcast, we acknowledge all treaty people. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Good night.